Another thing that's linked into this dream of global governance is climate panic. Hurricane Ian has hit Florida. It's moving towards South Carolina as I'm speaking. And I'm not belittling the storm. The storm did a lot of damage. There were some deaths. But the coverage, I used to be a radio news writer, and I remember hurricanes coming into New York, and they literally came in and told us to scare people because it would keep them listening to the radio. And I remember one time scaring people so much that I actually scared myself and had my wife taping up the windows. And of course, the hurricane never arrived. This is a bad hurricane, but that ethos is how you get some of the coverage you get. This is a clip from 2016, Shepard Smith at Fox News reporting on Hurricane Matthew, which is a classic version of the way we cover hurricanes.
See this? Melbourne, Daytona Beach, all the way up to Jacksonville. This moves 20 miles to the west, and you and everyone you know are dead. All of you. Because you can't survive it. It's not possible unless you're very, very lucky. And your kids die too.
Thanks, Shep. But look, it really is a storm. And, traditionally these storms are moments when kind of politics is set aside. The state realizes he needs FEMA, federal aid. The feds realize that they've got to take care of the people in the states because they're part of the country. And usually there's some cooperation. There has been some cooperation, but not from the press. Not from the press. This has got to be an opportunity to demonize DeSantis. DeSantis with his pro-family laws, with his protecting the parents' rights to raise their own children, with his hitting back against the major corporations like Disney, with his standing up for the rule of law at the border. They've got to try to demonize him about this. And this was a great exchange that proves what a terrific politician this guy is as a journalist tries to make him look bad. Cut 11.
FEMA Administrator Chris Wells said today that she acknowledged concerns that Florida, as was said, lacks response to the storm so far, and that
Whoa. Give me a break. That is nonsense. Stop politicizing, okay? Stop it. We declared a state of emergency when this thing wasn't even formed. We've had people in here, you've had counties they've done a lot of hard work, and honestly, you're trying to attack me, I get, but you're attacking these other people who've worked very hard, and so that's just totally false. I don't think we've ever, certainly since I've been governor, declared a state of emergency this early. We made sure that we were very inclusive with it. We said that there was a lot of uncertainty, and we've worked to make sure the preparations that have been done and all the stuff, you talk to the people at the counties when they've needed something, stuff gets there very quickly because of what Kevin and his team have done.
That's great. I love this guy. He is really a boss. He's doing a great job. And doing the part of what a Republican politician has to do is he has to be able to bounce the press down the street like a basketball because they're corrupt and evil. Now, the other one who got his crew cut caught in a ringer was Don Lemon. These guys on a roll of viral humiliation, which is just making me laugh out loud. Here he is with Jamie Rohn of the National Hurricane Center is explaining how the hurricane works, and Don has to try and tie it into climate change.
What effect does climate change have on this phenomenon that is happening now? Because it seems these storms are intensifying. That's the question here.
I don't think you can link climate change to any one event.
Okay.
On the whole, on the cumulative, climate change may be making storms worse, but to link it to any one event, I would caution against that.
Okay, well, listen, I grew up there, and these storms are intensifying. Something is causing them to intensify.
Hey, don't give me your science, man. I grew up there, and I have a very serious face. But the point is this. The point is this, that there is a reason. There's a reason this climate change is such a juicy cause for panic. Here's Biden discussing it. Cut 31.
Our commitment to tackling the climate crisis, which threatens all of us, we're seeing the consequences of climate change around the world very vividly, including in the United States right now. And I know your nations feel it acutely, and for you all, it's an existential threat.
It's not an existential threat. There is no science saying that climate change is an existential threat. It's getting warmer. Human activity very likely has a role in it's getting warmer. Warmer temperatures will probably save lives because more people die of the cold than of the heat. But there'll be a cost in restructuring things, like on Martha's Vineyard. They'll have to let the illegals back in so they can build a seawall. But if you don't ruin economies by closing down their energy to be replaced with a kind of energy that we simply cannot create and do not have, there'll continue to be fewer climate deaths, as there have been, as I said in the opening, over the last century. There have been many, many fewer climate deaths because we're richer and better prepared and better able to build infrastructure. So what's it got to do with globalism? Well, you heard what your president, I'm now calling him President former Joe Biden because he's gone. But President former Joe Biden said that this is a global threat. This is a threat to everybody, right? So we all have to come together. We all have to deal with this. And you're seeing this a lot, this kind of call for the United Nations or some international body to take control and let the experts do what the experts do, which is screw things up. So the communist prime minister of New Zealand, who had just draconian lockdowns in New Zealand, had people being arrested for protesting the vaccines, just was forcing things down people's throats. She was at the UN saying the internet has to be controlled, lest people should stop believing in this climate hoax.
As leaders, we're rightly concerned that even the most light touch approaches to disinformation could be misinterpreted as being hostile to the values of free speech that we value so highly. But while I cannot tell you today what the answer is to this challenge, I can say with complete certainty that we cannot ignore it. To do so poses an equal threat to the norms we all value. After all, how do you successfully end a war if people are led to believe the reason for its existence is not only legal but noble? How do you tackle climate change if people do not believe it exists? How do you ensure the human rights of others are upheld when they are subjected to hateful and dangerous rhetoric and ideology? The weapons may be different, but the goals of those who perpetuate them is often the same: to cause chaos and reduce the ability of others to defend themselves, to disband communities, to collapse the collective strength of countries who work together. But we have an opportunity here to ensure that these particular weapons of war do not become an established part of warfare.
The internet is a weapon of war. Information is a weapon of war. Their information is information. Your information is disinformation. But most importantly, those questions. How do we combat climate change if people don't believe it exists? Well, convince people. That's how you do it. That's how free nations work, right? You convince people, you counter lies with truth. They can't do that because they haven't got the truth on their side. And what they want is that global governments, because then, believe me, once you give all your power over to them, all your freedom over to them, believe me, things are going to go great. And meanwhile, Joe Biden had this moment that you have to mention it. He was at a conference on ending hunger, and he was looking around for this hunger bill's sponsor, Congresswoman Jackie Walorski, cut 6.
And I want to thank all of you here for including bipartisan elected officials like Representative Governor, Senator Braun, Senator Booker, Representative Jackie. Are you here? Where's Jackie? I didn't think she was going to be here.
All right, tragically, Jackie died, I think it was almost 2 months ago, in a car accident. Where's Jackie? I think the thing is, when you get that close to death, you can see through the veil. But it actually does matter that we have this demented old man as the president, because really, to these people, it doesn't matter who the president is, because he's not supposed to have the power. We're not supposed to have the power. The power is supposed to be in some place like Davos or Brussels, where the great and the good gather together to share their theories. But you can tell the reason the rhetoric is ramping up, the reason the FBI is being corrupted, the reason people are being called names, the reason they're trying to force our children to become sexually demented is because they're afraid. They're afraid of guys like DeSantis. They're afraid of women like Georgia Maloney. They're afraid of Liz Truss in England because she's bringing back Reaganomics, and they're afraid it's going to work when what they're doing doesn't work. They're afraid of Sweden, once the darling of socialism, now moving toward the right. They're afraid of women because they uphold the family and because they uphold the lives of children children, and they're afraid of God because God stands up for the little guy. And maybe most of all, they're afraid of you. They're afraid of the people. You're deplorable. You're a fascist. You're a Nazi. You don't believe in climate change. You want your boys to be manly, your girls to be womanly. You think God has made you to be free, and that gets in the way of their yearning, this noble dream they have that is falling apart around them. The thing is, you cannot love freedom if you don't love the people who will be free. They don't love you. They hate you because they're afraid. Man, I love that guy. He's great. Like and subscribe. Also, subscribe to the Andrew Klavan Podcast.